Intro! Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be ranking every single classic bird, and new ones too, I guess, to this list. So kind of the newer ones are over here, or just kind of some ones that are kind of different are over here. So we're going to start from the left to the right, and we're going to rank them. So first we have Terrence. So Terrence gets, obviously, a solid S tier. Terrence is a very good bird to use in pretty much any game. He got a major buff in Angrybirds 2, where it was just completely, he would completely decimate a lineup of buildings. So it just is out of the park. Matilda is probably solid A tier. I have mixed opinions about Matilda depending on what game it is, because sometimes her egg is really powerful, other times it isn't. Like in the more classic games, it's not as powerful, but in Angrybirds 2 and beyond there, her egg is very powerful. And not to mention her diagonal attack, it's very, very good for certain arrangements of pigs. As you know, if there's one below and one diagonal, you could use a Matilda at the right time, and you could hit both of those pigs, you know, maybe letting you to be able to finish the stage with, as Matilda was the last one left, and being able to finish it very quickly. Bombird is a solid S tier. Bombird is a very, not to mention, I haven't talked about design yet, but all these birds have fairly good design. Matilda actually could have been ranked higher, but I just thought I wasn't really liking the color palette with her as much, but it doesn't matter, because Bomb gets an S tier because of just how powerful he was in any game. In Angrybirds Classic, you know, some levels he was really powerful, other levels he really wasn't. So, you know, you just kind of had to use him the correct way in Classic. In Angrybirds 2, he just completely destroys any stage that you put him in. Of course, you have to use him right pretty much most of the time, but this is okay. So Hal is difficult for me. I want to say C, but I feel like he deserves a B tier. Considering that I really do like Hal's design. He's so much more different than any of these birds down here just because of his beak alone. The color is really nice. It separates him from the pigs, considering the pigs used to have a really nice lime green color to them. Now they've kind of lost that, but still, Hal's a really great bird, and it was just really nice. But his ability, I felt like, was very difficult to learn, especially in Classic. Angrybirds 2, it was a little bit better, especially considering you could go up inside of a building and then use it, and then it would just kind of tear everything up. So it was really nice. Chuck, I gotta say, probably C tier. Chuck, I feel like it's supposed to be really good, but I've never really experienced it. The only thing Chuck to me has been really good for has been going up into the air and sniping pigs. Because to me in Classics, it was only able to break through like 4 wood pieces. You know, maybe if they were more separated, he could break through them. And, you know, this one right here is another one where I'm, like, really drawn between, is he good or is he bad? And that's why I'm putting him in C, right in the middle there. So, you know, it really depends on what game you have, what level you have, and anything of that sort. So, we're going to put him there. Redbird, I gotta say, probably the same tier as Chuck, considering that he actually has a lot more purpose to him than a lot more people think. Because actually, Redbird, if you didn't know, if you tap on the screen or press the A button or whatever console you're playing on, you'll hear a little squawk noise from him. And this actually does something. Basically, what it does is it stops the momentum of the bird to be able to put its full force into one structure. So if there's one thing that's got like really top heavy and you can't break the bottom pieces, just do that and hit the top, and it will take the entire structure down. He has a ton of force on him. That's why his first level has that really tall tower, because even though he couldn't break most of it unless it fell over, he could hit it over because of how powerful he is. Stella, probably D tier. Stella is just not very good in general. She has a pretty good ability when the stage is made specifically for her, but when she's just an extra bird in the stage and you're not even supposed to use her, she almost feels pretty much useless. Which in her actual regular game, her like own Stella game made her so much better. Her bouncing ability was really cool and it was so much different from the regular games, but I'm just talking about pretty much classic for her. Classic and Angrybirds 2 is kind of what I'm going off of here. So this, I would rank her lower, but again, her own game was actually pretty good, so that's why I'm ranking her at D. The Blues is kind of another C-B thing, and I think they deserve to be on B because I think a lot of people liked the Blues as a character. You know, just in general, they liked them. You know, compared to maybe things like Tony over here. They may have liked Blues as just a character and had their backgrounds on their phones as Blues, and you know, had their internet profile picture as the Bluebird. So you know, it was just all that kind of stuff. Bubbles, let's see where Bubbles goes. Bubbles probably goes back up in A tier, considering that he's kind of like a little bit less powerful Bombird, or an inverted Bombird, I guess I could say, because Bombird can break things like stone, and of course he can break through glass, but they've actually, they in certain games, especially things like Angrybirds Friends, they state that Bomb can't actually break through wood. So because of this, it would be much better to have Bubbles in the stages that had a lot of wood. So you'd have Chucks and Bubbles all the time for stages that were completely made out of wood. And I just liked getting Bubbles. The only time I didn't like Bubbles was when he was in Angrybirds Reloaded, to where he was broken, and not in the good way, in the way that he looked really small, but like when he expanded, and you could actually see it on some of the stones. I don't know if they fixed it, but you could see it when it puffed up. It would look like it hit it, but he was like at least a foot away from that rock. So he would the explosion radius, or the radius of his blown up state, was actually a lot bigger than it was, so you couldn't really tell if you were going to be able to hit something by blowing it up. And also the force of doing that should send a lot more things flying than I would have hoped. Icebird, as much as I like the character and why I'm not putting him in F tier and instead just putting him in E tier, is because of his design. Otherwise, he kind of sucks. If you had that's why in Angrybird Space, I don't ever remember seeing a level that was only Icebird, because he could not do anything. All he could do was just turn any single block to the glass or the ice block. And I think that might be why that they didn't put him in Angrybirds 2. As much as I would have liked him in Angrybirds 2, I think that's probably why, is because that if you got him as your final bird, there probably was nothing you could do, because he really couldn't break anything and would just turn stuff into glass. And there's already a power-up in Angrybirds 2 that turns your whole stage into glass to make it where every bird can break it. Silver is probably another D tier to me, because Silver over here, she can do kind of a vertical or up and down what Hal can do, because Hal's is horizontal. You shoot him horizontally, he comes back horizontally. Silver, you shoot her horizontally, and then she goes vertically down. And this can actually make for some pretty cool shots, but most of the time I just use it to make sure I can hit a pig and as an extra bird. And you know, like if I had Red, Terrence, Bomb, and Silver, and there was one pig left, I would probably choose Silver to shoot that last pig to go on to the next stage, because I didn't want to waste any of those other people. Leonard sucks. F tier. He was not a good bird addition to Angrybirds 2. I hated that they chose him and just not anybody else. They could have chosen anybody else, but they had to choose a pig to do it. And, maybe that adds some style and character to him. But there was no good pig to him in the movies. He always just, that he did work together with the birds and Angry Birds too. But, that didn't make him all buddy with the birds now, considering that still in Angry Birds 2, you're still defeating pigs, and I don't think Leonard would want that. He'd want to be on the pig side, so I feel like he would have been better as an extra boss or something, and like I said, maybe adding Icebird with some extra breaking ability, like a wood breaking, like he can break through wood and then freeze anything inside. That would have been much better. Tony, probably the same thing as Silver, because Tony was pretty much the Silver before Silver was. I would rank him up higher, but I feel like that they have kind of the same thing. Silver's probably even better than he is, but I think Tony's design and how he was kind of just like a random bird. He was just randomly added for no reason in the game. You just loaded up Angry Birds seasons one day, they released a new season, and there he was, a new bird to play with. And it was cool for a bit, and it was nice to see it. But I feel like that his ability is pretty much Silver's ability without the spin. So I'm ranking him D tier. Telebird is cool, B tier. Telebird uses a teleporting ability to go through ground that is not even breakable. In the test stage for him in Angry Birds Classic, you can literally, or was it Seasons? One of the two. The test stage for him literally had you go through something that was unbreakable to a regular bird. And that made it to where going directly towards pigs was awesome. It was just amazing. And Shockwave, I gotta give it A tier. Shockwave gets A tier because he is pretty much Bombird with a little bit of a less powerful explosion. He does have some cool animations, but to me it wasn't very. It was an extra power up they added to. I think it was Classic at the time. I don't think it was Seasons. I'm pretty sure they added his own stage in Classic. And it was nice to be able to use him in those, and then they made him usable in other levels, and I didn't deem him as powerful as something like Telebird to where he would, but the reason I rank him higher is just because he is a Bombird clone, so this means that he is a lot more powerful than just a red bird that can just snipe you through walls, and he could, still blow up things, but really all it is it's just Bombird with a blue explosion. So yeah, that's the end of this tier list. I probably will make the Angry Birds Space one and Angry Birds Star Wars and a bunch of those ones for abilities of that sort. The Angry Birds Star Wars 2 is going to be terrible to make, but I'll still do it. Of course, all this was my opinion. Some of these probably could have been ranked higher in certain people's opinions. And some people probably really like these birds. And every single one of these birds is a really great addition to the game. I think things like Leonard probably had very negative feedback, but it was Angry Birds' decision, and, Rovio controls it all. The community, is kind of forcing Rovio at this point to start doing some other stuff with their Angry Birds things, like bringing back Angry Birds Classic just recently. But otherwise, I just think that it's not even worth it to say anything about it. It's just my opinion, and maybe you thought Redbird was F tier because he's just so bad, or maybe he's S tier because he has some hidden abilities. It's really cool. It doesn't matter, because you can go out there and you can make your own tier list, and you can make yourself feel good about it. So that's all. That's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, my opinion, and bye.